I definitely had some Scrooge McDuck vibes. I think I'm making that up. I would love to tell you I was smart enough to figure it out. I was not. We're trying to figure out who did it, who got done, because I forgot I had it. He did write that, didn't he? Oh geez, hold on. Hold on. Someday. And a cataclysm. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse, and welcome to a spontaneous video about books centered around the holiday season. So I was filming a reel about books with Christmas settings, books with New Year's Eve settings, because I personally find the week between Christmas and New Year's to just be like that void of like every day feels like Saturday, which is like the best feeling ever. And in the past couple of years, I have gotten much more into a mood to read books set during specific seasons. I didn't used to be this person, but anyway, I thought, why not turn the reel into a video? Because A, you just get to see the books in the reel. You don't just get to hear a lot about them. And B, I know not everybody is following me on Instagram, but I would really love it if everybody wanted to come follow me on Instagram, because I'm really trying to up my content over there and create more like short form, quicker things that's easier to do with a sit down video, or easier to do than a sit down video. But anyway, you're here for the books. You're not here for the pitch. So I haven't read all of them, but I have a mix of recommendations and some books that are still on my list of books that I want to read someday. So the first one I did read. This is The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. So this actually takes place kind of like Thanksgiving through Christmas, but the core climax of the book is over Christmas. So this is such a good read. I read this at the end of last year. Yeah, I finished this on December 23rd of last year, and it's definitely the messed up family vibes. So if you guys have been following me since last year, when I hauled this book, a whole bunch of people are like, oh, it sounds like that movie Ready or Not. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen that. I didn't know what it was. Then somewhere along the way, the movie was like $4 on Apple. Like it was cheaper to buy it than it was to rent it. So I bought it. I still have not watched that movie. So, and I own it. So it's kind of like one of my books. I have it, I just haven't watched it yet. But anyway, this one says, the rules are to listen carefully, to do your research, trust no one, and run for your life. So Harriet is a novelist. She is engaged to Edward Holbeck, who is the heir to an extremely powerful American family. So she is meeting his family for the first time, and when she meets his dad, he very suspiciously hands her a tape of a book that he's been working on, and he would like to get her input on it, so to speak. And it says, as she presses play, it's clear that it isn't a novel, it's a confession to murder. So she is convinced she's marrying into a super dark and messed up family, and she needs to find out what exactly this tape is about and why her soon-to-be father-in-law would have given it to her. So very dark, very messed up. Obviously, I loved everything about it. The next book I have, I'm embarrassed to admit, I put it aside for this holiday season. I want to say I got this like in the summer during one of those like 3 for the price of 2 sales. And I just came back across it when I was filming this video because I forgot I had it. And it's A Murder at Balmoral by Chris McGeorge. So this is Royal Families Have Killer Secrets is the blurb on this one. The king is dead. The killer is in the family. Solving this murder will be a royal pain. So the royal family has gathered at their Scottish retreat, Balmoral Castle, for a traditional Christmas. As a blizzard gathers outside and a delicious dinner is prepared, the family circles up for a holiday toast. King Eric has something momentous to say. In fact, he's about to name his successor, but as he raises a glass of his favorite whiskey, he drops dead. So I get the sense that there's some kind of witty humor to this. It kind of sounds like, though not in any way similar, but kind of like Christmas Murder Game, where this I thought was going to be light and cozy and it wound up being dark. I have a feeling there's like some darkness but levity to this book. So I don't think I'm going to read it before Christmas, because I'm filming this on right before. You guys should see this on Friday or Saturday before Christmas. So anyway, but I am pulling it out. Even if I read it after Christmas, it's fine. But I'm excited for this one. I haven't read anything by Chris McGeorge, but I absolutely have his book, Guess Who, which I have had since I started my channel. He did write that, didn't he? Yeah, he wrote Guess Who. I have had Guess Who since not long before I started my channel, because that's when I discovered Book Depository. It's been a minute. Okay, let's talk about The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. I read this last year at Christmas time. I actually finished this. Oh no, I started this on Christmas Eve and I did not actually write when I finished it, but I finished it last year. So this is a family who used to, I was going to say they used to hang out. They used to spend Christmases together at the family home, and things have just been different in recent years. So it says 12 clues, 12 keys, the 12 days of Christmas, but how many will die before 12th night? So the Armitage family is reuniting again, and Lily had no intention of going back. So her mom passed away years ago. She hasn't been back since. She's got her own rub with the family, but she winds up getting an invitation. And in this invitation, her aunt has promised her and promised everyone that whoever wins the game this year will win the keys to the mansion. But for Lily, the added incentive is she will also find out the truth about what happened to her mother, who died 21 years ago. So Lily obviously cannot resist, and she returns, and all sorts of family messed up hijinks ensue. And like I said, this was way darker than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a cozy mystery. I loved it. It's a lot of wordplay and word games. I would love to tell you I was smart enough to figure it out. I was not, but I very much enjoyed this book. So kind of like a little bit of a Knives Out vibe to it, but such great fun, such great fun. And I have a couple more Alexandra Benedict books because she is apparently the queen of writing the winter Christmas mystery. So stay tuned for a couple more there. I'm also going to get us some more lighting because it is shortest day of the year. So we're running out of light. So hold on. Ooh, and I'm sitting on my phone. Hold on. Okay, that's better, I think. Okay. Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. I just finished this book. I loved it. This is so small. There is so much story packed into this book. It's the perfect Christmas novella. And this is obviously, it's hard to talk about because it's so short. You guys know I'm such a massive fan of his. He just paints a story the way that I love it. So in this one, we are following an American student named Ashley. She is studying in London. She has no family to come back to for Christmas, and she's not totally bummed about spending Christmas alone in London. But then one of her classmates, this girl named Emma, invites her to come spend Christmas at her family's manor house in the Cotswolds, and she is totally jazzed to go because Emma's, I would say, like a little bit of an it girl, definitely has some money. This is set in December of 1989, and Ashley is also excited to spend Christmas with Emma's twin brother, Adam, and then her family and all that good stuff. So she gets there. Some things are definitely a little bit off, and Peter Swanson ensues. So I loved it. Highly recommend it. Totally quick bingeable read. Totally worth it. Okay, now we're going to get into a couple books I haven't read. So the first one is Hercule Poirot's Christmas by Dame Agatha Christie. So I 1000% picked this up because I was like, ooh, a Christmas book. And then I was like, oh, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. That was a bad crack. Look at it. You guys know I'm a sucker for a special edition. So this, of course, I'm like, there's like not even a description on it. So it says, there is at Christmas a spirit of goodwill. People who do not feel amiable are putting great pressure on themselves to appear amiable. If you dam the stream of natural behavior, mon ami, sooner or later the dam bursts and a cataclysm occurs. I can't say that word. There was another word at work, which was the name of a company, and I couldn't say it. I couldn't look at it and pronounce it the way everybody else was. Anyway. So this is obviously a Poirot book in that series, and I don't know if he's invited to Christmas and somebody dies there, or if somebody dies and then he's invited to come figure it out. I'm gonna guess he is at the event, but again, that's just a guess. So stay tuned for more on this. I have an unofficial, but like life goal of reading my Agatha Christie's, and I definitely bought some more to add to my collection. And then I have the 2 Alexandra Benedict books. So I've mentioned these in another video already, but in case you missed it, Murder on the Christmas Express is the first one, and then the Christmas Jigsaw Murders is the second. So Murder on the Christmas Express, 18 passengers, 7 stops, 1 killer. Definitely has a Murder on the Orient Express sound to it. So it says, in the early hours of Christmas Eve, the sleeper train to the Highlands is derailed, along with the festive plans of its travelers, but that is only the beginning of their problems. When the body of one of the passengers is discovered in the locked room of her cabin, all evidence points to murder. With the train stuck in the snow in the middle of nowhere, it's up to former Met detective Roz Parker to find the killer before they strike again. So I am expecting it to be similar to Christmas Murder Game in that it's just going to be dark and fun. And then the Christmas Jigsaw Murders, which is her newest one. It says, this Christmas, a killer takes family games to a murderous new level. On the 19th of December, renowned puzzle setter, loner, and Christmas skeptic Edie O'Sullivan finds a hand-delivered present on her doorstep. Unwrapping it, she finds a jigsaw box and inside 6 jigsaw pieces. When fitted together, the pieces show part of a crime scene, blood-spattered black and white tiles, and part of an outlined body. Included in the parcel is a message, quote, 4, maybe more, people will be dead by midnight on Christmas Eve, unless you can put all the pieces together and stop me. And then it's signed by Rest in Pieces, P-I-E-C-E-S. So this is giving me a little bit of a Truly Devious vibe, and I'm just really curious. So she definitely loves puzzles and games, and like that's definitely her thing. So I'm excited to read more from her. So I've got them. I've got those. And then for 2 books that I have read, the first one is The Widowmaker by Hannah Morrissey. So this is her second book in the Black Harbor series. Again, you can read them all independently and enter the series at any point that you want to. So this is similar to Dublin Murder Squad, where the town of Black Harbor is the common theme in each one of the books, and that's like the main character of each book. So you do get a police detective who strings through all 3 of her books in different, like a huge part of book 1, a lesser part in book 2, and an even smaller role in book 3, but he is the consistent theme throughout all 3 of them. But again, you can enter at any point. So in this one, we have Clive Reynolds was a business mogul who disappeared 20 years ago. And the Reynolds family is a very wealthy family in Black Harbor, but they are also shrouded in kind of some scandal, some mystery, a lot of questions about the family. So in this book, we are following 2 different characters. We are following Morgan, who is making the reluctant return home to Black Harbor. She's a photographer, and she winds up being hired to photograph the holiday party and like holiday portrait for the Reynolds family. So she has a little bit of an in with them. And then we are following Detective Ryan Hudson, who there is something that is unearthed that is a clue to what happened perhaps to Clyde Reynolds that brings them together to try and figure out what's going on. This is one of those books where I feel like the inside flap tells you something that I didn't. Hannah Morrissey is an auto-buy for me. I don't need to read anything about what her books are about. Like, I'm just going to read it. It's very much like Ashley Winstead. Like, I just dive right in. And I didn't know something that's in the inside flap. So for me, it was a surprise when it happened, which I very much enjoyed. So I liked the dual POVs in this. I liked the interesting part of this. So in book number 1, we definitely see like the dark and gritty side of Black Harbor. And here we see the contrast between kind of that dark gritty side and then the super wealthy family that lives like on the other side of town. So again, I really enjoyed it. The photography part was super appealing to me. I love photography myself. I am an amateur photographer. Like, I do it for sport. I don't have any kind of anything, but I just very much enjoyed this a lot. And then the other one I have is You Must Remember This. This is my last Christmas book. So on this one, it says Old Money, Dark Secrets, Cold Blood. This is by Kat Rosenfield. So I read this earlier this year, and this is pitched as a gothic mystery. So on Christmas Eve, 85-year-old Miriam Caravacios steps out onto the ice. I'm really having a hard time with words today. Steps onto the ice that surrounds her seaside estate on Maine's Mount Desert Island. As a younger woman, she used to steal out on winter nights to meet her lover. She knows the way, but not the year. Miriam, her mind clouded by dementia, doesn't hear the snap of thin ice until it's too late. So her entire family has gathered at the house for Christmas, and questions arise of what happened to Miriam. Was it suicide? Was it an accident? Was she lured there? And we get to see multiple timelines of the past when Miriam was younger. We get to see leading up to what happened that night. And there's such great family to this. The dynamics between the family, the tensions within the family. I really enjoyed the dual timelines of this. I loved being able to be with Marion in the past and in the present. And it's really centered around her granddaughter, Delphine, who comes up to the house, who's really struggling with her mother. We see the generational tugs between them. And I think, you know, seeing the often painful reality of watching people grow older, of seeing the changes in people, coming to terms with that, trying to cope with that. This has a lot of emotional punch to it. So it's not like a light, easy breezy. It's definitely, there's definitely moments of levity to it. And I really enjoyed the twists and just how we were led through this story. I'm like super vague. And then I'm trying to find the name of Delphine's uncle, who was by far one of my favorite parts of this book. Let me find his name. Richard, her uncle Richard. So the dynamic between him and like Delphine's mom and that family history, but like he's absolutely a riot. So he definitely brings the comic relief to this book, but I really, really enjoyed it. And it's great. And obviously like it centers around Christmas. So there's that. And then I have 3 books for New Year's. 2 of them I've already read. So let's start with the one I haven't read yet. So this is The Rewind by Alison Wynne Scotch. So I have read multiple books of hers, and I want to say I got this, oh gosh, last year at Christmas. I feel like this came out last year. Yeah, it came out in 2022. This was 1,000% a Christmas gift. And I just obviously didn't read it because I've got 3 books and I told you I haven't read one of them yet. So this one has a bit of magical realism to it, which she's done in some of her other books, which I really liked. So I feel like a little bit like Rebecca Searle, I would say. I think I'm making that up. I don't think there is magical realism to this. I think it just takes place in 1999. Oh geez, hold on. Hold on. Okay, I have to start over with this book because I just gave you guys a whole bunch of wrong information about it, which is more proof that I haven't read it yet. So, in this book, it is New Year's Eve, 1999, on the cusp of the new millennium. And we have college sweethearts Frankie and Ezra broke up before graduation and vowed never to speak to each other again. So 10 years later, they find themselves back on their snowy New England campus for the wedding of mutual friends of theirs. So Frankie is on the rise as a music manager. Ezra's ready to propose to his girlfriend after the wedding. I don't know if I'd want to be proposed to at somebody else's wedding, but that's just me. So everything is going according to plan, but they wake up together with wedding bands on their fingers the next day. No idea how they got there. They have just one New Year's Eve in the end of 1999 to figure it out in this big-hearted, nostalgic rom-com. So they need to figure out what happened the night before. It says put aside old grievances to figure out what happened, what didn't happen, and ask themselves the most troubling question of all. What if they both got it all wrong the first time around? So in my head, this was like they went back in time to the 90s, but this is actually just set in the 90s, 1999. And I am even doubly jazzed for this. So I have not yet figured out what I want to read to start the new year. So I do have I have an arc that I would very much like to read. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe I'll give this a go. These videos kill me, you guys, because I start to, you know, get all the things in my head. So the next one I have is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This was my first Lucy Foley, and I loved it. This is a group of friends who get together every year on New Year's Eve. They take a trip somewhere, And this year they go to this isolated hunting cabin. We get, and it's not like a dingy thing. It's like a it's like there's people who work there, there's food, like it's not like they're in like some shack in the middle of the woods. Like it's a set up place to be. But weather intervenes, they wind up getting isolated and stranded there, and we know at the beginning that somebody in the group is dead. So we wind up going back in time, we get multiple POVs, we're trying to figure out who did it, who got done, and why. And this was 1000% one of those books where anybody could have been the killer, anybody could have been killed, and I would have been totally satisfied. I know not everybody was down with the, I hate this term, unlikable characters in this, but I love complex, morally gray, morally dark, occasionally morally bankrupt characters. I just find them so much more interesting. And I always love a book that has a group of friends from college, still friends, still getting together all these years later, how that dynamic has shifted, how it hasn't shifted, how some people have moved forward, how some people are stuck in the past, how some people have refused to sort of acknowledge the changes in their friends and other people. So I love that entire dynamic. So this is set in the Scottish Highlands, and I thought it was perfect. I loved it. I loved everything about this book. I need to reread this book. There's a lot of things I need to do. And then the last one I have is The Last Party by Claire McIntosh. This is the book I started 2023 with. So this book opens on New Year's Day when a body is found in the lake, which separates England and Wales, and the body is in the middle. So there's sort of a jurisdictional question that arises. So we wind up getting Fionn Morgan, who is the inspector in Wales, and then we wind up getting, what is his name? And then we get Leo Brady, who is from the Cheshire Major Crimes Unit, and they have to work together to figure out what happened. So the victim in all of this is Rhys Lloyd. So on New Year's Eve, he threw this huge party, house full of guests, and there are these lakeside holiday homes, which the locals are not huge fans of. These sort of rich and bougie people have taken over part of it. There's a bit of a conflict between the rich and the townsfolk. And basically a lot of people wouldn't mind seeing Rhys dead. So Fionn and Leo have their hands full trying to like figure everything out. But we get great small town vibes in the town. We get great family stuff with Fionn and her mom. I love that dynamic. And we get great chemistry between Fionn and Leo, and I love their dynamic as well. So again, there is some good humor to this. There's obviously police investigation. I hope that goes without saying. And for Fionn, it's very difficult because everyone in her community is a suspect. So she's like investigating her own people more or less. But I thought it was so fantastically well done. I wound up doing a combination of reading and listening to this, and I read this in 3 days, and really thought it was fantastic. So definitely gave me some Agatha Christie vibes. This is the first in a series. I do have the second book, A Game of Lies, which came out in the UK, which I picked up, and then it's coming out here maybe even in January. I will fact check that down below. I know it's on my list for coming out here soon, but I thought this was absolutely fantastic. So I did read I Let You Go, which I feel like was her famous book. And then I read Let Me Lie, and I really enjoyed those a ton. But there's something, I feel like there was something different about this, and it might have been more of the humorous factor to it and the banter that felt different to me than those two books, but I also very much enjoyed those two books. There's a lot of character relationship in her stories, which I think is just great. So anyway, this was the first time I made a deliberate choice to like read a book set on the day, and I'm so glad I did. This was like a fantastic way to start off 2023, and if you're game, maybe a fantastic way for you to start 2024. That was such a weird pause. Okay, so that is it for the books that I have for set on Christmas, set on New Year's, if you want to just get lost in that week in between. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling like the seasonal juju right now. So let me know. I realize that this is going to be like after the fact, but or actually it's not. Anyway, what kind of books do you gravitate towards during the holiday season? Are you a seasonal reader? Are you more of just like a wintry book reader? Do you just read whatever you feel like? Are there goals you're trying to hit before the end of the year? I still need to finish my own bingo board. I have 5 squares to go. I'm currently reading 2 books, one audio and one visually. Just like one on video, one visually. So I could certainly duplicate some of the books on my board. I haven't done that yet. It's conceivable. I was just trying to not do that. So we'll see. We'll see where I wind up at the end of the year. But anyway, that is my goal for year end, is to get my bingo board done. And then we'll see which books I decide to read to get me there. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope everyone's doing fantastic. I hope you are enjoying this holiday season. Whatever you're doing, however you're prepping, however you're spending it, hopefully it's not too chaotic. I definitely, if you guys have followed me, know that I was very late in the game this year. I definitely had some Scrooge McDuck vibes going on this year, but I'm kind of leaning into this is just my season, and it's completely fine, and I'm just going to enjoy it for what it is. But I do have a lot of plans for 2024. I'm really eager for a clean slate. I definitely want to build on some of the momentum I have. So stay tuned for a video of me talking about that. And yeah, there's just going to be more videos rolling. So all my 2023 best of content will be coming, and we'll see what else happens after that. So, all right. I will see you guys in another video really soon. Take care. Thanks for watching. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.